Hi and welcome to StockInvest.us podcast for week 27, where we'll tell you what we think will happen in the week ahead of us. In last week's podcast I told you I thought it would be a red week, and it became yet another red week. Dow Jones down 1.28%, but Nasdaq more than 4%. And what about the analysis of Apple and Microsoft? Well, they came in. Apple actually more or less on the cent. But most important is the trading tips that we have by the end of the podcast. How did the trading tips go last week? Well, all of them except one went in green. Despite being a red week, I managed to make money also last week. But what about this week? What are the trading candidates? What are the stocks that I will try to trade this week in hope of making yet another profit? I'll let you know, it will be at the end of the podcast, but first, and as always, you have to listen to the disclaimer, then I will give you a market insights, we'll go through some analysis, and at the end, you will have this week's trading tips.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the StockInvest.us weekly stock and crypto podcast. The podcast is hosted by StockInvest.us co-founder and Golden Star Signal inventor, Jim Stromberg, who has been actively trading since 1996. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit like and notification bell so you will be first to know when we post a new video. This podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and other audio sources. Ensure you listen to the entire podcast so you don't miss out on some key tips needed for this week's strategy.
Welcome to StockInvest.us podcast. We remind you that trading involves a high risk of losing money, and that you should speak with a financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. You should not base your investment decision upon StockInvest.us. By using the information provided, you agree and are held liable for your own investment decisions.
Normally in the market section, I try to give you a wide and deep understanding of the things that I think will affect the week ahead of us, the things that you should look out for, and even some insights into the long term, into the future, what I think. And now you can read all over the news that people think there will be inflation, they think there will be even worse market ahead of us. Well, if you listen to this podcast, you will know all of these things more than a year ago, because I told you exactly what would happen and is happening. And when all people start to cry, there is a recession, there is more red markets to come, well, usually that's a good sign, because that means we are getting close to a bottom. Anyway, it's summer, and I'll try to make this market section a little bit shorter than usual, and hopefully I will also make the podcast a little bit shorter so we can enjoy the summer. But for first, we'll do like this. I will give you some insights in the fundamentals that I think could affect the week ahead of us, things that you should look out for. Run through some technical analysis, because combining these two is always very good. At the very end, we'll look at the Nasdaq chart, and I will try to tell you exactly what I think will happen. Will it be a green? Will it be a red week? And let's start straight away. What are the things to look out for this week? Well, I told you last week, now the job numbers will start to matter. And this week, on Friday, you will have the June job numbers. I'm not sure if there will be any big surprises, but anyone who can read numbers and do understand how things work will understand that these numbers do somewhat matters. Not exactly the percent of people being unemployed or in work, but what are the tendencies. And given the huge interest rates that we are seeing, given the inflation, we know that there will be an increase in unemployment rate. I don't think Friday's number will be too bad, but they will for sure give a sign what kind of direction we are going to, and that, in my opinion, is just a huge increase in unemployment number. Could it flip the market on Friday? Well, I for sure think that they will affect the market, but could even be positive. A bit hard to say. 2 days before, on Wednesday, there is another number that you can pay some attention to. It's actually not the number, it's more the insights for the Feds. What was behind the decision of raising the interest rates by 0.75%? will give you insights what Fed thinks about the future, about the recession, about the economy. That is actually the two main things. And of course, there's always the Ukraine conflict. And as I told you in the last 2-3 podcasts, I think that we will see more escalation. And any day we actually can see some very bad news that I think will affect the market. But overall, it seems to me to be somewhat silent week. It's a shortened trading week. The markets are closed today. They will open tomorrow on Tuesday. And silent is good. Last time I told you we were expecting a silent week, I told you that is a good thing because there is enough negative things pushing the market down. For the long future, the job numbers will of course be the one thing that will keep pushing the market down because they will just reflect the recession, which I think is inevitable that we eventually will hit into. So no big things this week. There's a few earnings, but nothing special. Oil still at $108, and I'm pretty sure oil will just continue upwards. It's been quite steady for a few weeks now, but we are heading to winter season, and I think oil is where you like to be. I told you that when oil was 20, just buy the old shares because this is where money will be made, and it really is. And they are making a lot of money, which means that they will pay a lot of dividend. And dividend shares are good when there is a recession, when there is a downturn. Dividend shares is usually where you want to be. Gold is on a slightly falling trend. It's 1,810, down 1.69% last week. Nothing special about it. You can expect gold to slide a little bit more as interest rates increase, simply because money will flow into more secure items. I had a target for gold to 2,500 by 12 months. That will mean somewhat like 7 months from now. I'm not sure if it's reachable as is. We will see, but I will keep that target. Personally, I am invested into gold. I want that kind of security, but there doesn't seem to be any real good trading opportunities in gold as is. The last number that we like to pay attention to is the 10-year Treasury yield, because I told you when 10-year Treasury yield go up, you will see the markets go down. Last week, Treasury yield actually fell by 8.3%. It's now at 2.89. But I don't think you should pay too much attention to this. Some of the reason why it fell is because some of the experts are saying we're going for a soft landing, but the GDP contracted by 1.6% last or first quarter in the United States, and expected to fall even more second quarter. And I think that will just continue, and I think that the 10-year Treasury might have a dip now, but will continue to push upwards. We have seen this before. But indeed, along with very little, I would say, heavy news this week, 10-year Treasury yield being down, the fundamentals somewhat say that it shouldn't be too weak. But to conclude all of this, we will have a look at signals, we will have a look at the chart, and then I will tell you exactly, will it be a red or green week? And if we look at the buy and sell signals across the board, analyzing more than 38,000 tickers, 26,000 of them are qualified for these signals, gives us an idea what are the main picture. And last week it was 19% buy signals across all the market. I told you that was could be considered a little bit high in a falling market, and that you were getting close maybe to a previous top. This week it's only 18. It fell a little bit along with the market, total natural. 18 is, I wouldn't say it's too high. It's not for sure not very low, not like it was back in week 25 when it was 12. So it's somewhat okay. Going to Nasdaq, we see 18% buy signals, down from 21%, and the New York Stock Exchange is down from 16 to 14. And getting down to 14 and 18, it's getting a little bit more attractive market. At the same time, we know that when signals are getting very low, volatility increases. So we can see some signs that we again will have a volatile week, meaning that we can see some behavior like up 2% one day just to fall 3% the next day, that we are again heading back to that volatile market, which of course is a trader's dream. You have to be first in, first out. You have to be very quick. You don't sit overnight, you don't sit over a week, and you just hunt the 1 to 10% that any super red day will give you. Of course, you can buy at the end of a very red day, sell on the opening next day in anticipation it will be a green day. There's a lot of different trading strategies to use volatile markets. Personally, I love it. It's where you can make money. You just have to be very short. London only 9%, but London been very low for many weeks, was 8 last week. Tokyo 22 down from 26, and even Shenzhen is falling from 46 high to 38, and it's especially this fall in Asia which I think might also put a little toll on Europe. But it's time to conclude. Will it be a red or will it be a green week? And personally, I like to look at the charts. I think charts tell a very huge part of the story. And if you use our service, StockInvest.us, you can type in the ticker Exigam and you will get the Nasdaq Composite Index. And what I've been telling you for weeks and weeks is that Nasdaq is in a falling trend, and you can expect this to continue. It's just the way it is. Right now it's in the middle of the trend, pushing a little upwards, which all indeed it's not a bad sign, because you have to get up to 11,600 before you get to the top of the trend, where you normally will have a reaction down. At the same time, it's facing tons of resistance from previous trades between 11 and 12,000 points. Looking at the chart, we can say there is a sell signals from the long-term moving average, short-term moving average. The volume is not following the market as it should. Being in the middle of the trend with very little support below means that there is a high chance that the markets may fall. And if you rewind 1 week back, I told you the main important thing is for Nasdaq to stay above 10,600 points, because if 10,600 is broken, well, then we will just go down to 10,000, later 9,000, and we might go, if you go some 7-8 podcast box I told you that in the title, Nasdaq to 8,000. Even if you go a year back, I told you this may very well be the scenario that we are heading. But first sign of relief will be that Nasdaq managed to establish a bottom above 10,006, so that's the main thing. There's not much you as an investor can do about it. You just can pay attention and just rest assured that if 10,600 is broken, you will have a huge rapid fall again, as panic will set in. So that's a number that you can pay attention to. At the same time, there is so much resistance above that I think an upturn should be somewhat slow. But if you are able to break above 11,600, we can see some fast movements upwards to 12, and even on a very good day, 12,500. We are for sure in a week where we'll get a lot of answer, and this is the problem. Looking pure technically at the chart, we are coming from a very low relative strength index position. Only 46 was down at 29 when markets turned at 10,600. There is a huge potential for upturn. No news coming this week, as I said, that's somewhat good. Indicates to me that there is a fair chance that markets will push a little upwards. The big scare is of course the very lack of support below, meaning that if it falls from just a little under today's level, 11,000, it will fall very fast to 10,800, and 10,600 will be very close. I think, and this will be the main conclusion, that 11,700 might be the very low for the week. I think 11,500 might be the high for the week. I think it's a fair chance that we will have a neutral to green week. Before starting the podcast, I was pretty sure that it would be a very red week ahead of us, but things being stable and I will put some emphasis on the very low relative strength index. The low number of buy signals is a good term. I cannot go back, rewind everything, repeat everything I said about how these signals work. But in usual, where there is a low amount of buy signals, it's a good thing. You don't want too much buy signals because then you're getting to the end of an upturn period. So I think there is a fair chance that we will head for a green week. It will not be a super green week. It should be somewhat volatile, moving up and down. I think maybe 11,700 low, 11,500 high, 600 maybe. Ending the week just above today's target. I will go for a red week, but I will warn you, if it falls below 10,600, be prepared that we will have the dreadful fall down to 10,000 and even break 10,000. That will be all. Again, I think there is a chance it might be a slow but green week. We will quickly run through some analysis, and we'll do Apple, Microsoft, Tesla as we always do, and then a quick look at Bitcoin and Dogecoin. And I will start to say that I was spot on Apple. I predicted $138, ending $138.93, only 93 cents off. But I was off on Bitcoin. I said I thought there could be a chance that Bitcoin would hit $24,000. Did not do that. It's still at 19,000 and struggling to keep floating. We will run very quickly through these 5 items: Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, because they will give you an idea about the overall market. And let's start with Apple. And while speaking about Apple, reminds me a little bit about what Warren Buffett say about stock trading. He's not interested in daily swings. Up and down, he couldn't care less. He couldn't even care about week or months. For him, it's finding value stocks that he think in the long future will go up based on a very good business model. And that might be the case for Apple being way higher than this. Nothing has changed. Of course, some of the market's condition, there will be a little bit less sale. But the question is Apple in a worse shape than before? They still continue to develop new products. They still continue to develop their marketing channels, and at some point market will be back. So maybe Apple is just a very good buy at current levels if you are into value stocks. Last week I told you I thought it would end at 138, ending at 138.93. And if you are listening to this podcast, that's Anchor, Spotify. It's also on YouTube, and you will see the charts. And that will help you a little bit. We can see, as we saw for Nasdaq, Apple is within the falling trend. You can expect these things to continue. Even back in April, there was that cross from the moving averages, the long and the shorter moving averages crossing each other, where the long go above the short. There was even a death star, which is the opposite of a golden star. Which is unique for StockInvest.us, was invented by me in 2006. It's a long-term signal. It was issued in April, and so far Tesla been falling from 160 to 140. We are getting close to a situation where the moving averages may again cross each other. This time the short will go below, the long will go below the short, and they will cross the price line, which will give a buy signal. So if Apple are able to keep pace, just move a little bit more up, you will actually turn into a somewhat okay long-term buy signal from Apple. But we will not conclude about that. It's just a pre-warning, because if you look at the facts, it's still in a falling trend. It's at the top of the trend. Usually you can then expect it to fall down. Volume is not following the stock. It's not a good sign. And there is still the sell signals from these two averages. Relative strength index is 52. It's not overbought, so we can still push a little bit up, but there is resistance every single cent above today's level, so it should not be a very fast journey. It might be that Apple pushes somewhere upward to 145, then pushes down, and the main thing is stay above 130, because if 130 is broken, you will head down for 120. For the week as such, it will be the same analysis that was for the index. Fair chance that it will do good, with a huge risk. If it falls below 135, it will fall to 130, and that will be a super acid test, because if 130 is broken, it should fall very hard. I think it's a fair chance that it will do good, move somewhere between 135, 145, ending the week very close to where it is right now. 140, 142, I will keep a target for 142, meaning that I'm a little bit positive for Apple this week. And we will know by next week if we start to see some more positive signs. To answer one question that I got, so what is the most important thing? Is the trend the most important thing? Is the relative strength index the important thing? How are these things ranked? Well, in general, let the trend be your friend. The trend is very, very strong. It's just statistics, and really works. We've seen this for months and months in many cases, but you have to combine it with a few things. So when I say that I think Apple will go up despite being at the top of the trend where it normally should react down, I base this conclusion on two things. I think that the support around 135 might hold, and that we will see a sideways movement. The relative strength index is not very high. If it was 65, 70, I would for sure say that we will head for a new downturn. I think there is some room to push upwards. The volume formation is not that bad. It's not following as good as it should, but it's not as bad to conclude that we for sure will fall down. So I think there is a fair chance. It will not be the best tips for the week, but with a somewhat okay decency, I think that $142 might be in reach. Enough about Microsoft. Let's Apple. Let's run to Microsoft and quickly look at Microsoft. And Microsoft has issued, you can see a green star in the chart, has issued a buy cross from the moving averages, which I was talking about in Apple. It's too early to say if it holds, because you will actually need Microsoft to continue upwards to verify the signals. Sometimes signals are published, but they really need to be verified by 3%. And if you wait with verifying signal, because that's another question I often get, so why sometimes signals are removed, it's simply because if we wait 3% till we can verify the signal, it will be very late for you. So we have to decide, should we just give you the signals now, let it run, or wait until it's verified. If we wait too long, well, the point is gone. You have already lost too many percentage. And doing some tests shows that most of these signals actually tend to be correct. A few of them will not be correct. In a falling trend, being not at the top, somewhere above the middle of the trend, relative strength index is moving up. A lot of resistance above, especially around 270. I think that Microsoft will move between 250, 270, and I think it will end the week. I'm not sure if it will be a green week for Microsoft. I don't think it will be very red either, but let's put a target of $262 for Microsoft. Quickly, let's run through the last part and get to the trading tips, because that's where money is made and lost. Tesla is moving sideways. I told you about this. Very good thing. It's moving actually in the rectangle formation. You cannot see it in this chart, but it's moving within a rectangle formation between 630 and 750. And if broken up, you can expect a huge move, being around $120 in one swoop, meaning that you would expect Tesla to go to 870 if this formation is broken up. And looking at the chart, you can also see that 870 is a huge of resistance, so it's very fits very well together. No resistance between 800 and 850 means very fast movements. Buy signals from the relation between the two averages is a good thing in the long term, but it still needs to be verified. Also this signal, the trend is down, but Tesla is testing the top of the trend, and now you'll know if it breaks up. If it falls below 630, you can expect it to fall very fast to 560, even down all the way to 500 low. Much resistance above. Need a very green day to push up, or a very good news could be anything, governments buying more cars or some electric incentives, anything that you need to push, because that resistance between 700 and 750 is painful. It will be hard. Once broken 750, it will move much faster. First and most important is just keep that pace sideways. Move a little up, and again we can have a very good buying opportunity in Tesla. Right now it will be a betting game, up or down. I think that Tesla will move between 630 and 750 for the week. I think it will end maybe just above today's level. I had a target 710 last week. I think I will keep that target 710 also for this week. And let's run quickly through Bitcoin and Dogecoin. We see the same thing. It's a falling trend. It's struggling very hard. It's been in the trend and it's been falling 10,000 in gaps. When it fell 40, it fell to 30. When it fell through 30, it fell to 20, and it's the same thing now. It's really struggling, and it might very well fall to 10,000. So hard to say. There is some support at 15,000 from the trend lines, but indeed we know that it might also be 70. Turning down from the relative strength index as 52, it's currently 37. It's not oversold, it's not overbought. It's somewhere in between. The trend is very, very bad. Everything indicates that this will continue. Only when it breaks 24,000 it can move very fast to 28,000. Doesn't look like that will happen anytime soon. Sell signals from the long-term moving average, short-term moving average, and even the relation between these two looks very, very bad for Bitcoin. But when things are as bad, they can only get better. And if you ask me, I'm personally increasing. After being out of the crypto game, you heard me over the last half year. I bought and sold at the top. Then I started to rebuy. I was too early on Bitcoin, buying at 30,000 last time. And I will accumulate a little bit more now. And we will see. It might be very wrong, and it will only be a small portion of the bet. But I think crypto will get back. And if you believe that crypto was the future when the Bitcoin was 65,000, well, now it's 20. It's 3 times cheaper. So why not? Target for the week, very hard to say. I'll remain positive, but be aware that anytime it can have a huge sell-off, falling all the way to 10,000. If that happens, I will be on the trigger. We will see. But target for the week, 21,000. And then there is Dogecoin. And Dogecoin just reflect all the shit coins, all these smaller coins, and it's the same picture. It's just falling. My personal trades in Bitcoin, all my previous profits are gone, wiped away. I had that very nice profit from 20 to 40. Got back in 20, didn't work. Later bought a little bit more around 8 to 10. Hasn't worked so far. It's in the red. Will I be able to recoup crypto investment? Who knows? It's just a very, very small part of the investments, and you really don't know. I think digital coins are here to stay. Even Fed said they will create American digital coin. So it's just a matter of which one, and suddenly all that negative market things go away, and crypto and stock markets will be up again. But will it be next month? Will it be half a year? Will it be 2 years? Very, very hard to say. But I have a feeling that we might get close to a temporary bottom. We will see. It will be a very hard winter for sure. But when everything looks super bad, why not take a chance if you still have something to invest with? And that brings us to the trading tips. Because over all these podcasts, since I started giving you trading tips, most of them have actually went in green. How am I able to do it? What is the secret? Well, how could I make money last week when the market was red? You will know, because now I'll give you the trading tips. So what are the trading tips? Well, every week I give trading tips, actual tips that I trade. I normally trade them on Monday, but the market is closed today, so I will trade them as early as I can tomorrow. Not as early, I will try to find that bottom. I'm not always able to find that very good bottom. And just to give you the very wide picture, I told you maybe half a year, maybe even a year ago, times goes very fast, hard to remember, that I'm reducing all my exposure in the markets because I was expecting markets to fall. So I reduced all the way down to 30% only in the market, and I'll be very careful what I have in the market. That still remained. Last week I told you I thought it would be a red week, so I would not have too many trading tips the week before. I had 5 or 6 open, I think it was, because I expected a good week, and it became a good week. This week I will have 4 open positions. I will have 2 trading tips for you, which you will know very shortly. But let's look at last week. Week 21 I opened Medica, and I told you I thought it would be a good trade. Last week I was 13% up in the green. It's the one stock that I don't keep stop loss on because it's very volatile, and I have it as a lucky trade, let's call it that, because I've been in and out of Medica many times with huge profit. You can call it stupid because Medica fell quite hard last week. A profit of 13% is suddenly a minus 6.82% loss so far. So follow the simple rules of stop loss is always a good idea, and you can see what happened when you don't do it. That was the one red trade. Medica was the one red trade for last week. Question is Medica a buy? Yes, it's even a better buy at 20 than it was when I bought it at 22. Why do I believe in Medica? Has something to do with I want to be in one penny stock, because these can go very fast. When it happens, also where you can lose money very fast. They have a lot of money in their bank account. I think that it's undervalued, and I think technically is showing some signs of a possible bottom, so it's just a very speculative trade. But Medica will also be one of the candidates for this week. You might be smarter than me, put on a trading stop loss. What about the stocks that I really trade with trading stop loss? So in week 26 we bought Energizer, and as I said, it just continued upwards, so it was never closed. It was open also last week, and Energizer just continued up. It's currently at $29. I'm not sure if it's a stock that you should buy this week, but it's open in my portfolio, and it's running with a trailing stop loss of 5%. So no matter what happens, I will have minimum 5% profit in Energizer. Last week I got Borr Drilling. I was able to get in at 585. It started too strong. Was starting at 560 I think, but I got in at 580. It went all the way up to 627, then started to fall, and was actually sold the day after 595, giving only 1.71% profit. I got Vendi was bought at 1895, went up and then started to fall. Same thing there. I think it was about $20 something, 2016 or 2030. Started to fall and was cut by stop loss at 19.36, giving me 2.16% profit. Oh, so I had 3 green trade, 1 red trade, and given the different amounts in them, it ended with a slight positive week overall. But what are the trading tips for this week? What are the 2 new stocks which I will trade? First off, I don't think it will be a very special week. There might be many other very good candidates. I found 2 candidates, and I will tell you why I think them. One is a speculative one, very speculative. I only look at the technical picture. High risk, somewhat low liquidity, and will move very fast. The other one had a huge fall. We have been trading it before, but I think it's in the right segment where they make a lot of money. The first one is INO. Let's pull up the chart. Inovio Pharmaceuticals, and looking at the chart at our webpage, we have it as a buy candidate, giving it a score of 3.6. The ticker is INO. If it managed to continue just a little bit up, break $2, there is no resistance before 250 and very little even way all the way up to 280. Buy signal, short-term moving average, long-term moving average, some support below. Relative strength index is getting high, 66, so I'm betting on that there might be a slight little push rally. In the upper part of the trend, it will be a risky trade. But Inovio is one of the trading tips. I'll try to get in as low as I can tomorrow. See if I can time it very well and hope that what I see will happen. We will push up to overbought. Have an increase in the volume. That will be the very first sign that I'm correct. If we see an increase in the volume, and I think that the stock might do good, and I hope maybe I can get back to do some 25-50% stocks again. Been some while. We now for many weeks just been trading these 5 to, I would say, anything from 2 to 10% per week. It's indeed very good, but I like to get back to where we can do some heavy cash. I'm not sure this one will be. We will just have to wait and see. We'll try to do the good trade in Inovio. The other stock is Chevron, and Chevron had a huge fall from 181 all the way down to $142, showing very good signs. Two bottoms higher than the other, very oversold on the relative strength index is 26. I think oil will push upwards, and I think it might be a good trade. What I'm trying to do here is get in. Let's hope that it can start somewhere slow, that I can get in around 145 tomorrow and maybe push upwards to 155, and that I can run somewhere 5% squeeze out of this, maybe 160 high. So this is just a pickup trade. And like in Inovio, Chevron CVX is somewhat speculative trades. These are the two trades, the two new trades for the week. In addition to this, Energizer is open and Somerica is open. And that was the end of this podcast. I will be back in 1 week. I hope during the week that you will make some green. And when I'm back, that even these trading tips will be in the green, and that I can give you a few new tips that might work for you as well. We will see. Remember stop loss, remember to enjoy the summer, and I will be back in a week. Until then, have a very nice week. Bye.